connected on the phone line. Kuldeep Panda is there with me. Kuldeep, hi, good evening. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Good evening.
So Kuldeep, what I can see as per your portfolio is you have invested in, you are investing in Parag Parikh Flexi Cap, Nippon Multi Cap, ICICI Balance Advantage, ICICI Nifty 50 Index, ICICI Short Term Debt. Okay, and it's an SIP of 30,000 per month that you are doing, and you want to understand if the ICICI BAF fund is suitable for you anymore, and you also want to make a one-time investment of 5 lakhs in mutual funds for SWP. And you want 5,000 per month. After how long you want this 5,000 as an SWP? What is the invested time that you will be giving to this 5 lakhs?
The horizon would be for 1 year, post which
Okay, after 1 year?
five
Sure,
thousand. Yes.
sure. Okay. Also, any specific reason why you have picked up balance advantage fund in your portfolio?
The idea was to have to mitigate some kind of risk, considering
Sure.
the mixture of debt and equity in the fund. And since I
Hmm.
have flexi cap and multi cap
Hmm.
in the portfolio, I also wanted to have some kind of mitigation if the market goes
Okay.
down. So that was the only idea.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
But then if
But
I
then your time horizon
see,
is
yeah,
of, sure. So your time horizon is 5 to 7 years, which means
correct.
you can only take moderate risk, right? So I want to understand, is there any goal attached to this particular portfolio? Have you assigned a corpus that you might need after 5 to 7 years?
Yeah, so by the time I'll reach 40, 41, I would want
Mm-hmm.
to, there are two long-term goals which I would want to, achieve. One would be to free my home loan, which would be to the
Okay.
tune of, which is to the tune of 35 to 40 lakhs, and then to have
Okay.
a corpus of close to 1 crore, which, which can help me in terms of my financial goals going ahead.
Any specific reason you have not included mid cap, small cap in your portfolio? Any specific reason for that?
It's been 2 years
I
that
mean,
I
you
have
have an
started.
exposure in mid cap, you have an exposure of mid cap and small cap via your flexi cap and multi cap. But then again, the flexi cap fund that you have included in your portfolio is more of a large cap. The bias is towards large cap. So, any specific reason why you don't have a pure mid cap and small cap?
Because when I started in 2021, the markets were not
Mm-hmm.
that great, and
Okay, okay.
the volatility was on the higher side. And so,
Sure.
and since the horizon is on the is of 5 to 7 years, I thought
Mm-hmm.
investing in the large cap and the mid cap would be the right way to go ahead. The
Mm-hmm.
the funds have been performing great, but then the
Mm-hmm.
balanced advantage fund is far, is not giving those returns which the other funds are. So I
Sure.
just wanted to have a
Okay.
clarity on how should I proceed. One more question, ma'am. I
Sure.
in the coming time, in the 3 months time, I would be increasing my mutual fund exposure from 30,000 to 50,000. So
Okay.
if ma'am could give some
Lovely.
insights on what all
Sure, we'll
funds
do
I
the
can
maths for you.
explore.
Yeah, yeah, we'll do the
Yes,
maths for
ma'am.
you, and then we'll give you a new strategy for a SIP of 50,000 per month. So, Shweta,
Thank you
time
so much.
frame is from 5 to 7 periods. So, it's a very medium term outlook that we are looking at. But even then, the kind of exposure he has is in flexi cap, multi cap. He has a BAF and he has an index fund in his portfolio. The goal, as he just mentioned, he want to pay off his home loan, and he is willing to increase his SIP amount from 30 and to make it 50,000, and also one SWP, which he wants it 1 year after his investment. Okay, so let's start with his current mutual funds. What is your take on his fund mix, Shweta?
So yeah, I'll just jump to the funds like you suggested. Kuldeep, few observations here. You are having an index fund now. In your experience itself, you would have noticed that the active funds that you have, would have outperformed the index fund. Now, that's the advantage of active management, and where you'll see that an active fund manager, because he's continuously buying, selling, and looking at those opportunities, he can deliver that 2-3% more at risk levels which could be similar to the index funds, or in fact lower than that as well. So that's one observation. You don't need to have an index fund. You can easily go in for active funds and benefit from that 2-3% extra return that you can get over the next 5-7 years. Second, some of the funds that you have are not purely domestic equity, and the opportunity in the Indian markets is far more than the global markets. So something like a Parag Parik is something you can, exclude and be in a pure domestic fund. Nippon multi-cap you have, I think you can continue with that because that's also giving you a mid and small cap exposure, which you actually need. So, my recommendation would be you can have anywhere between 55 to 60% large in your portfolio, and the residual of it can be mid and small. Given that you have a 5-7 year time period, you would benefit from that extra that could come because of this market cap mix. Lastly, on the balance advantage, now, what a balance advantage does is it is shifting between the asset classes of equity and debt depending on what the fund manager thinks would play out in the near term. For example, a BAF may follow a 60% equity, 40% debt. I suggest you don't do a BAF because you are not necessarily needing a 60-40 equity debt. In your case, you have that horizon of 7 years. You also you have age on your side, so probably you can go with a 70-75% equity and the residual of it being debt. You don't need the money for 7 years. Your SWP 5 lakhs is separate. So, what the fund manager is doing may not necessarily be applicable for you. Understand what is your asset mix that suits you and that will help you achieve your goal. My suggestion, understanding your profile, is you can have up to a 75% equity and a 25% debt. Separately manage it, and that would bring in further efficiency. So, can this 11 go up to 14, 15? It can if you, efficiently make these few changes to your portfolio. Lastly, coming to your goal, you said you're looking at a 1 crore, but with just the 30,000 of SIP, you would get to somewhere around 40 lakhs. So it's
Right,
very
Shweta.
good that you're taking it to 50.
All right, I think that will be all. And Kuldeep, hope it all answers your questions. It's time for a quick break, and post that we'll be continuing with our viewer queries. Welcome back. You're watching The Money Show, and let's quickly take our last question of the day, and that's from Naveen Rana and Shweta. I'm actually running out of time, but then the details, he's given it to you, 50,000 monthly SIP, and he's a high risk appetite investor, wants to invest for almost 20 years, and he also wants to do a 50 lakhs lump sum investment.
Okay, so I'll just jump on to the recommendation for him. Since he mentioned that he has a longer term horizon, I would suggest a portfolio which is of two small caps. So you can go in for HDFC small, Invesco small, go in for an SBI contra fund, go in for a Kotak multi cap, and go in for a DSP equity opportunities. This will give you a good mix of large, mid, and small. Even though you're not buying a pure large cap fund, you will get a good diversification of styles and categories here.
Okay, so luckily there's one more, there's time for one more question, Shweta. Abhijit's question, 47-year-old, and he wants to begin his SIP of rupees 70,000, and he wants a well-diversified portfolio recommendation from you.
Okay. Abhijit, just one thing. While I'll give you the recommendation, it's important that you set your goal as well. What is it that you want to achieve for how long? So that always is a good start point. I think here again, like in the previous call, I was saying, have a well diversified portfolio. You can go in for an ICICI large and mid, ICICI dividend yield, have an HDFC small cap portfolio, go in for a Kotak emerging fund. Like this, you'll get a good mix of large, mid, small spread across different categories. But yeah, first define your goal clearly.
I think that will be all for today. Thank you so much, Shweta, for being on the show and helping our viewers with their financial portfolio. And time for me to sign off as well. But I'm going to leave you with our WhatsApp number and email ID where you can send across your questions. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.